last, but certainly, definitely not least, for the Khitam al-Misk, right? For the beautiful ending, I want to invite my brother, who is more than 2 parts oxygen, who not only has grace, yes, Al Jazeera, Washington Post, Sapelo Square, wait, let me get them all. City Paper, Muslim Matters, yeah, The Nation Magazine, and the LA Times, who has been given accolades from Imam Omar Suleiman to Camila Rashad of the Muslim Wellness Foundation. People are just recognizing the greatness of his work. What an inspiration, a healing, and a mercy it is. I just want to tell y'all before you run out of here, don't run out before you leave with his book, right? And all those also at the back, don't run out unless you get your copy. You're going to be mad. Get your piece. Get your piece of history. I want to bring it up. I want to make sure I get this right because I don't want to forget these last things. He's a graduate of Howard University. I love just to keep saying that because it's like, HU? And Bowie State University. He's an American Muslim Civic Leadership Institute alumni, an awardee of the Historically Black Colleges and Universities Top 30 Under 30, along with receiving Alumni Excellence Awards from both his respective alma maters. Most of all, that brother is the husband and the father of these 2 beautiful lights, Tariq Toure.
How did I get here? Well, that's God's intentions. As far as drip, they'll say Toure always brought a harbor with him. Carved the lane in this game. That's a large incision. Don't know much, but I can tell you what a problem isn't. Burning the stage down, not a hard decision. Want my stripes? Well, it's going to take a couple scars to get them. I'll 45 your open mic. No Rod and Pippin. Literary shots. We leave large than livers. When every bar is a baptism, the applause is different. I'm a product of Malcolm calling out to Allah in prison. My mama Maisha moving through the mirage and prisms. Dear father, Imam Malik showed me where the art is hidden. I'm a griot out the mud. You better guard your business. Been everywhere. Grab a globe and start to spinning. But the Baltimore poets are liable to carve your kidneys. Just when you thought it's the last model, we enlarged the engine. So my fate is on stages, fade in anything under God's dominion. That's a fact. I see they've had the wrong opinion when the difference between us is clearly yards to inches. For the money, well, that's an odd incentive. When the smoke been free, you get your pulse paused for pennies. Forrest Gump with gumption, you better guard your winnings. Been training my whole life to swing far in innings. I'm at bat. You think I'm gonna let them catch Tariq slipping? My name means start a room on Mars is plenty. So many times, they mistook my fist for a hand grenade. I pulled the pin and my thoughts exploded. I heard what the preacher quoted. While the church said amen, this is a no-knock raid. Let us atone and spray hymns and bring the Lord to the laymen. This is for the blue-eyed Jesus across tabernacles in Africa. The curse of Montezuma, Mayan temples and massacres. I was born with honey and sujud on my tongue, which means I hawk spit heaven and prostrate to the one. He who raises kingdoms and lays kings low. Covered Mother Harriet the chariot, these seats swing low. I've seen kings go. I've seen a poor man rise. Wealth blacken hearts and mothers curse skies. Thank you. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum. We are at the end of the night. I need the rest of your energy, inshallah. Thank you to the organizers and the volunteers and everybody who's made this event happen. We need to put the poet's minbar back into the masjid, inshallah. So hopefully these are one of many steps to do that. The kings of old used to pray that lineage grows so the kingdom and kingship could keep an infinite flow. Sons crown jewels on iron fists, infinity stones. Any slight threat to legacy equals the slit of a throat. They reign for centuries off children alone. One power in your tribe, count the kids in your home. Ruled by sword and umbilical cord are given with both. Now these kings thought that they were given the most. Civilizations carried on in the cyclical flow. Dynasty after dynasty, they died defending the throne, preserving their reign with every minute they own. Now mankind's preoccupation with dominion could lead one to the opinion that our life is measured in inches, then we spent our lifetimes inching towards domination and dissension. Has anyone ever asked God for any different? I should mention that a black woman once ran between the mountains in the desert with an infant crying out, dry mouth, heavy sweating, with no food in sight. She scouted every direction. The heat grew, they couldn't last an hour in this weather. Then outpoured a stream of water flowing in the distance. She drank her fill to stop the wailing of her infant. The well of Zamzam is born, a miracle in minutes. Al-Hijrah and Ismail survived while Father Ibrahim was missing. And upon return from his sojourn, he would move to the new place where he'd learn the Kaaba will be built. And his concern was that this family of theirs will one day grow to serve the Lord Most High and raise hands to the sky for Allah to never let the light of Islam die for as long as their lineage stays alive. On and on, for a millennia they would thrive. Not for riches piled to the mountain line, not for sovereignty over what's under the sky, but that sujood be established when he died, that the qulub be attached to the eye. He prayed for generations of prostrations, showed us how sincere near can turn nation, paved the path for success of seeking salvation. I'm standing here as a manifestation. We're gathered here as a representation. How is this related? Small illustration. My pops was dealing dimes of Dean up on the dope strip. You can still see the lines of fiends getting their nose hit. Allah still raising our degrees. We never know if people like him never bent their knees and exposed this reality, this path we call Islam. One single believer starts the cracking of the dam. When this nation was being built by the cracking of the lash, when Reagan was placing a crack upon our hand, those same palms were the same ones happening to have sincere prayer and sincere cries. Look between those layers within their lives, because within their lives, a truth so pure it would singe our eyes. Tell me how within our time, as enemies within their lines, Allah will raise another people to defend his signs, delivering us from evil until the mission dies. Everything that's happened has happened for a reason. Every single action has mattered for this meaning. What a result of prayer mats upon the cement. The divine outcome of prayer is cast into the ether. What it means is we don't just happen to believe, but this is the purchase path of Ibrahim. From the hands of Ibrahim, from Philly to Philistine, from Mali to Manhattan. Take a look at what can happen. This path is a jewel, ain't no happening to have it. It only happens if you grab it and hold it so tight it starts to fashion into granite. And that stone becomes a mountain, and that alone becomes a fountain, and then in droves we drink the ounces. The spring that springs forth will have many stories to tell. When they ask how the children were saved, we'll have no choice but to point to the well.
Wow!
My father was a military policeman in Vietnam. And every day he would read books on the tower where he had to keep watch. And one random day, I don't know how the autobiography of Malcolm X ended up in Vietnam, but he found it. He said he read it in an hour. I don't believe that. Maybe it took a little bit longer than that. He said he read it, and he said, Tariq, as soon as I closed the back cover, he said, I knew I was Muslim. And he said he prayed what he thought was Salah right then and there. And he went to New York, took a Shahada, and then he came back to Baltimore and then started going pamphlets. Asking anybody, do you know who Allah is, and giving dawah. I believe Dr. Ware was here a couple of years ago, and he talked specifically about how when the French were negotiating slave trade in West Africa, they specifically took people who were Hafiz Quran because they resisted the most. So it should be no wonder why people like Omar ibn Said is writing verbatim Surah Mulk on the walls of his prison somewhere in the south. Because they said, we got to get these Muslims out of here. They messing up this slave thing we got going on. I found God in a bean pie. I've seen Kufis placed atop the heads of felons whose smiles could swallow the Mississippi. I've witnessed the crackling Morse code of tasbih, double for a life raft. Watched dua incinerate a suicide note. The Islam I know turned Melba the dope fiend to Maryam the philosopher, Malcolm the animal, to Shabazz. Ships set sail in the name of Isa, Jesus, Jesus, prophetic nouns inscribed on the broadside of vessels, blessed by the highest councils in the land, human cargo aborted to the land to turn souls into profit, with the lavender-faced children of Muhammad in its belly. Back and forth on the Atlantic's throat, a mother raising her shackled hands to the heavens to beg Allah deliver his name unto the famished mouths of her family, fallen once again into chains. And we proclaim their shahada in the same position. Distant mother, I hope you'll see that the adhan is the 808 drum still shaking us to the atom, that sujood has dignified our posture yet again. Know that a third of this nation's children are black like you, bold like you, regal like you. That kinked hair falls in the spines of Qurans and valleys and mountaintops. We have never had a home here, but Lord knows we can turn a bando into paradise. Lord knows we can turn lemons into la ilaha illallah. Your down payment, just enough for us to buy Amo Lana's religion in cold cash. You should see we've made space here. Baba's Arabic gorgeously broken over a southern twang. Sore Nas under a northern bebop. Can't shake the jazz out our step. Can't peel the boom bat off our lips. For us, this has always been about burning Master's house to the ground and dancing in the ashes. A stadium full of our ancestors looking on. This theology has always been about a solstice of justice, a parade of freedom marching through the soul, a return home. So one day the giver of light sees the light on our faces, sees us for our faces, and welcomes us back beyond the veil. Thank you. So, many of us have heard the hadith where the person interrupts Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he asks him, Mata Sa'a, like when is the hour, right? When is the day of judgment? And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam responds to him, asks him, well, what you prepared for it? In so many words. What have you? And the question that goes on to say, I haven't prepared a lot of salah, I haven't prepared a lot of fasting, charity, but I love Allah and his messenger. And then Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells him, you will be with who you love. So this poem is just an offering among the millions of offerings of poems to our Habib that have been written. And I just wanted to cast my thing into the water with it, inshallah. We say peace upon Salim, we say peace upon Salim, whose noble shoulders hold the holy seal placed in between, who paved the righteous path across Sirat al-Mustaqim. Please protect the Muslimin and guard the unseen. Prayerfully, our hearts are prepared for our Hakim. There's a war going on inside and in between, mind, body, and soul for our deen. When shaitan seems to be tearing at our seams, I keep my mind at ease, no soldier on his knees, not when Allah has raised our ummah in degrees. Through who? The one who was named as Al-Amin. Through who? The one who was bathed in the Halim. Through who? The one whose heart is paid with Al-Latif, Sadiq. Name a soul more pristine. On what other noble shoulder should we lean? The destined paid our ummah holds the title and the deed. Who knows a love more deep than the sower and the seed? This holy love affair between the grower and the leaf. He built the golden bridge between the knower and the need. Upon you is where heavy hearts have had to meet. Upon you is where the Arifin find their dreams. Upon you is where the blessed sunnah they would leave. It leads. Every drop of sweat they used to roll from your sleeve, you find the cupped hands of a believer right beneath. For every single breath that his holy lungs will breathe, through and through our blessings grew exponentially. Sending salutations only broadens our degree. For every salawat we sing, a public's final reach, Allah sends 100 with the angels counting each. Yes, Sayyidi, bless your blessed feet. Without you, every step we take is in retreat. Without you, how will the hurting souls find ease? Without you, how will the heavy hearts take heed? Ajib. Ya Allah, if you find us like the tree who sobbed in pain because our Nabi no longer leaned, let us fill earth with every tear that we will weep. Weren't we ocean deep in Jahiliyyah's waters and beneath? Who wedged the golden rope of Allah between our teeth and then pulled us by our jaws above the reef and gave us CPR before our lungs were nearly breached? Never has a surgeon done this sort of surgery and diagnosed our burden with the life that he would leave. Summum, bukman, umyun. We repeat, we were deaf, dumb, and blind, and now we see. Don't sleep. On the day when none but he can intercede, and Jahannam's gazes at our bodies with his heat, it is he who will call out, Ya ummati, my nation will tremble through his cheek like the mother who has lost her child in the street. From the very depths of his being, he will plead for the salvation of those who uttered this belief that no God but the one God there shall be. And Ibn Abdullah last the prophecy, and for that we say peace upon Salim. We say peace upon Salim. Ameen. Yeah, baby. We okay? We good? Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. All right. I'm a city kid. I haven't been in suburbia for only like 3 years, 2 years, something like that. So me and my wife, we were going from Nairobi to Mombasa overseas on one of those like buses that's overseas. They're a little bit different overseas, right? Anybody who's been on a bus overseas. And so I was scared. The driver was changing lanes and doing all this type of crazy stuff. It wasn't even a marked lane there. I said, I'm going to go to sleep. If I die in here, I'm just going to be asleep when I die. And he crashed his bus. And my wife tapped me and she told me to look out the window. And then when I looked out the window, it was my first time in my life ever seeing stars the way they should be seen. And it just pushed me to reflect. And I got in my feelings and wrote a poem. So yeah. Will the stars still puncture the 2 a.m. sky and crowd the heavens canopy if we can no longer witness the day change? Will we know then what day is? Is the time coming where the signs summon us to realize the darkness of our souls and how we were blind from it? Hasn't man climbed summits, learned to master the jet stream, and mimic the hawk's flight, gutted earth for her blood, and pillaged the diamonds? That's why we searching on odd nights, trying to find the garden in God's light. Sometimes your peace gets held hostage at the end of a long knife, so the believers fall prostrate at the end of a long night. With submission over superstition, dunya becomes collateral. Time on earth is ticking, don't be consumed by the sabbatical. So while the world doubled down in the sewage with Satan, and the people's ghostly faces grew blue and sedated, I read the 85th chapter and paced backwards and tried to shout out all the false preaching of the stage actors. Could this be the reason Al-Hakim was swearing by the stars? The mathematical precision that will derail with no regard, that we won't listen till the soul stiffens, until it's too late to heed the soul's whispers, making rounds on this track running parallel to hell. This world is an illusion, preparing us to fail. The hour swells. Just as soon as hardened hearts soften to the call, I pray the soil soaked from us offering our all when darkness falls. Thank you. 2 more poems and we done. Yeah. Inshallah, people who are facing depression, anxiety, all these things are able to find resources that help them overcome it, especially youth. Some days we're carrying the world's weight and coping in the worst ways. How can I explain what it means to feel heavy and hollow inside? Like no matter how hard you swim, you get swallowed by tides, waiting for time to go by. You see the signs in my eyes. I've nearly gone blind from the cries, a refugee inside my own mind. Baba don't listen, Umi hardly replies. So I submerge myself in the only sanctuary near, self-medication to drown out all the tears. My peers are all walking the same line, 1 foot in death, 1 foot in tomorrow, apart in the same time. The invisible generation caught in the same crime. But they are drowning in the sea without shores. They may never know a world quiet without noise. Silence will be a relic of our past. Open the phone screen, for genocide and laughs. Shaitan said he sit beside our path. He's been at it since Adam. Let's sit inside the math. The lone sheep is the first one that gets grabbed. And if no man is an island, while our children all on rafts, we spike them with the wrath. And when minds ain't caving in, we are frightened at the task. Maybe it's because they hold a mirror to our past, the countless amount of times that we slipped up and crashed, took the metric tons of pain and tucked them in our stash. That's why we stomping on the gas, because university is God and mental health is last. It'll be too late for us to ask how well we learned the placement of our mask. And every year we hear the story of a crash. My amana is to immerse you in their world so you don't have to wait until the worst of it unfurls. Then there'll be no reversing of the curve. Their sanity will soar like the whirlwind of the birds. Countless youth are swimming, fending for themselves, arrested by their minds, suspended in a hell. If we open up our ears and suspend them in their wells, then it may become clear when we see how far we fell. Maybe then we can help those crying out for help. Thank you. All right, last poem. Of course, I think a lot of you have seen this on probably on Al Jazeera. And yeah, I'm going to get into it, inshallah. Last one. Before the muezzin starts again. Oh. Yes, sir, coach. Yes, sir, coach. Yes, sir, coach. I throws the ball, coach. I runs the ball, coach. I catches the ball, coach. I holds the ball, coach. I controls the ball, coach. I knows the ball, coach. You owns the ball, coach. In this here field, and them there stands, and that there jumbotron, and them there fans, and oh Lord, my fans, you ain't got to ask. Just last week, I signed a grown man's forehead in the palms of his newborn's hands. Oh boy, they love me. On my grandmama's grave, they surely do. You know, a bullet be the only thing keeping this game from me and you. God's got to be a gifted artist the way I've been picked and prodded. Since 16, I've been lean, whole hood, know I get the farthest. Away from my fathers, away from slaughters, away from coffins. Can you believe USC wanted me? They only picked the hardest. 3-year starter, 2 All-Americans, banker's daughter. So this got to be a dream. See, where I'm from, you either hustle, get high, get hit, or hurdle defenders. But you take children with trauma and tempers from August, December, let them loose to limbs and attendance. Only the strong survive here. You better remember, shoot. So me without a ball is Clark Kent without a cape. I knock a couple helmets off, they deposit in my papes. But wait, what you say? 44 shots, 3 of them to the face? Now wait, did he hold on to the steering wheel? Was a smile up on his face? Did he say, yes, officer? No, officer. Please check my registration and my plates. Oh, no. You know how we be bucking the law. Too much attitude, get them weapons involved. But you're saying he was unarmed and fitted description, wasn't no shaking it off? They were looking for a 6'4", 245-pound black male to be exact. And he was reaching for his license that got rounds up in his back, loud sounds and then collapse. Well, look at here, we got to do something. I mean, something's got to shake. That could be me, arms folded, cousins getting consoled, and everybody huddled at my wake. But my job is just to play. Plus, my foundation did 10,000 turkeys in the hood last year. What's more for me to say? Now, I don't want to get cornered in debate, but we ain't supposed to be mixing this blessed game here with politics. Plus, there's a mortgage in the way. It's how I afforded the estate. But could I be mortgaging my play? Could my legs be the leverage that makes owners more cordial with the tape? And is the mouth wide shut and blind eyes open, help absorbing all the hate? This game is all I've had for my escape, and I escaped. But I assure you, they love me. Surely they'll understand today. So when I take this knee as the anthem starts to play, you think they could look at me with this passion in my face and truly be able to say, this was the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you. Every poet other than me, I know Muhammad just said it, but get that stuff, support them. I was speaking to Ustad Ubaidullah Evans. He's a good mentor of mine. And I was asking him, what is the function of the poet? And he said something pretty profound in a very long novel of a text, but at the very end he said, ultimately, the poet stands in the shadow of revelation. So what I've tried to do with my work is do three things. Number one is to introspect, make us reflect on our souls. Number two is to inspire, make us think about what we can change. And the last is to interrogate. So when you see the young folks get up here and they're interrogating what's going wrong in the world and all of these issues, they're doing their job. When they're inspiring, they're doing their job. When they cause you to think about your lot on this earth and your ultimate destination, they're doing their job. And those three things combined ultimately remind us about our dignity. Allah said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَمْنَا بَنِي Adam, right? He honored Bani Adam. And so when we remind each other of our dignity, we become whole. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.